Greetings everyone, friends. Today we are talking with you about the essence of self-development. That is, what it is, how we perceive it, what it may be interconnected with, and what parallels we can draw to better understand what it is. Because the concept of self-development has slightly drifted. There are numerous trainings, a multitude of personal growth trainings, a wide range of different psychological trends and directions, and comprehending all of this is exceedingly challenging. In my belief, there exist fundamental aspects that can provide us with a direct comparison and comprehension of what self-development entails on a broader scale in general. So, friends, in the context of observing the growth of various artificial intelligences, neural networks, and other technological advancements, it is crucial to understand that when an algorithm learns to correct itself, learns to modify its own code, to upgrade and become more adept at learning, that is, to learn in relation to what is happening in the world and assimilate this data, it undergoes a transformative process of self-improvement, enhancing its ability to adapt and evolve based on the evolving dynamics of the world around it. When it comes to this aspect, self-development shares similarities with regard to its parameters and characteristics, making it comparable in nature and scope. Yes, we can also draw a parallel between ourselves and a computer machine and assert the presence of short-term memory, long-term memory, and a certain, let's say, perceivable volume by a person. This volume, which is now being effortlessly and realistically created in virtual reality, serves as a testament to the remarkable advancements in this field. The ability to compare ourselves to machines and witness the replication of human experiences in VR is truly astounding. In applications, we witness authentic virtual realities where it becomes exceedingly difficult to discern whether you are immersed in virtual reality or existing in the tangible physical world around us. The similarity and feeling of complete presence in certain, let us say, volume, indeed a genuine volume, but it is virtual, yes, it genuinely fascinates and amazes with the technologies that are already accessible and in existence at the present time, at this very moment, without a doubt, unquestionably. So, if we consider it like this, with all these Higgs bosons, Schrödinger's cats, and electrons flying around until they are observed causing reality collapses, one could assume that in reality we are already in a virtual reality, and as a character in this virtual reality, you can indeed influence your own code, your own structure of what you represent with your attention and consciousness. Therefore, it is plausible to suggest that our existence is intricately intertwined with the fabric of this simulated reality, granting us the ability to shape and mold our experiences through our focused awareness and conscious choices. An algorithm that is progressing will grow and develop accordingly, while an algorithm that is degrading, it fades away gradually because the program no longer requires its functionality. Therefore, it is possible that there is indeed significant importance in giving serious attention and careful consideration to. It's not about spiritual work anymore, right? I mean, we use the term spiritual work not in terms of understanding religious currents and directions, but in terms of real energy information processes that occur with each of us every day, every second. Experiencing life moment by moment, an individual perceives the solutions of algorithmic processes right in front of them, gaining insights and understanding from the unfolding of each moment in time. And in the very next moment, it feels as though this is the ultimate resolution to all the challenges and dilemmas that have been faced. In actuality, time is a series of choices made by the information processes that our brain processes, so to speak, from the celestial realm down to the terrestrial realm in a continuous and interconnected manner. And every single thing that takes place inside, registering with the human eye, reflects a brand new reality that is constantly changing every single second. And so time sort of moves. That is, it is unable to move backward because we are unable to halt the process of resolution, as time is a continuous flow that only moves forward and cannot be reversed. In order to solve this task, we need to carefully analyze the next second, as it holds crucial information that will help us find a solution. So what was already, it is no longer fascinating because it has already occurred in the past. And what has not yet taken place is the upcoming decisions of all the algorithms that are currently running and operating in this particular game, which are still pending and await execution. This is my perspective on the picture, my dear friends, emphasizing that time is simply a sequence of certain decisions that we make in our lives. Accordingly, if we possess, let's assume, data regarding ourselves, and we certainly do, for individuals with psychic abilities this is evident, it is the aura, and indeed it is the chakras, it is that radiant field, yes, that we perceive surrounding an individual. And in accordance with this, if we happen to witness a field surrounding a person, if we telepathically perceive certain information by tuning into a specific thread of this glowing fiber, whether it is broken or unbroken, it is akin to a minor detail, a small element that may hold significance within the broader context of the situation. The main idea is that it exists, and we are able to perceive it. Through our perception, we have the ability to influence it, primarily by the simple fact that it exists and we observe it. As we have already understood, our attention, it influences. And the second point is that there may also be a volitional impulse. If there are specific accesses, as I perceive it, in archaic systems, similar to a computer analogy, indicating if there is a highly specific access by an administrator to particular game characters, specific data, metadata, and additional information, they have the capability to make modifications to them in a way that can alter their properties, attributes, or behavior. If he only has access to read, he can only read them because there are clairvoyants they see but cannot change anything. There are individuals who have the ability to influence what is observed. As a result, there exists a potential to modify situational sequences. There exists a potential to modify certain fundamental programs that reside within the human being. And naturally, the most crucial aspect is to ensure that we do not disrupt the vital life support systems. To not disrupt programs that should not be touched. That is, our system still strives for balance in one way or another, and as long as this balance is more or less maintained, we still live. In case of a significant imbalance, a person perishes because it is an impossibility that cannot be overcome or reversed. To reside in an inaccurate position. However, if we observe that a person fundamentally exists, it signifies that in some way they are still able to maintain the system within certain limits and boundaries, despite the incorrectness of their position. So indeed, cosmoenergy is the first step when the perception of subtle bodies, the perception of the etheric layer, astral layers, and the ability to already understand something, how it influences what a biofield is, how important it is for it to be intact, how important it is for no entities to intrude, how important it is for there to be no negative channels, external negative energy, informational damages, and so on and so on and so on. It is similar to disclosing the code that reveals the composition of everything in existence. We begin to perceive a radiant glow surrounding all physical objects. And then, as a person delves more deeply into observing themselves, they note that there is indeed an issue that needs to be addressed and resolved in order to achieve a state of harmony and balance within their being. Friends, she is there for everyone. We all have her in one way or another. It's a fact. The self-ego is, in fact, the problematic aspect. If you are speaking in human language, it means you have it, and therefore you have problems. Certainly, they have varying levels, varying degrees, similar to something that we can resolve. By directing attention, we can tackle psychological issues. Just ask a person a question and they will direct their attention to the position you need, thereby reassessing themselves. That's enough. And sometimes it's really necessary to immerse yourself, especially if some subtle bodies are torn. The lotus is torn. Something else. Some psychotropic drugs were involved. which intertwined a person with the essence of something, something else, something else. A multitude of diverse and peculiar incidents have the potential to occur with the energy bodies of an individual. And prior to the establishment of a comprehensive database outlining the precise methods of interacting with these energies in the surrounding environment, as you are aware, a significant amount of time will be required for those individuals who are capable of conducting actual experiments and describing these phenomena accurately without relying on speculative notions regarding their functioning, such as personal beliefs, In other words, beliefs, convictions often sort of steer a person with dogmas, and there is no opportunity to explore, no opportunity to experiment. If an individual comprehends that there are experiments that can be established, verified, re-verified, performed a second time, a third time, if we observe more than 3, 5, or 7 times the outcome under certain energy influences, it indicates that they actually exist in reality and are not just a figment of imagination. Please, let's conduct the experiment, set it up. We apply an impact on the subject and observe the results. And when we obtain a result of 3 to 5 or a greater number of times, and in my particular situation it is more than tens of thousands of times, it becomes evident that these are not merely some hallucinations, not some sort of vision of unknown origin, but rather these are quite tangible and existing entities. There genuinely are data fields. And at this particular moment, it is quite evident to us that they indeed exist and are present. Previously, we could discuss certain types of schizoterics, but presently it is evident that in this case, please wear these glasses and observe, here is virtual reality, and it is an exact replica. We are inside it. That is a fact. We are inside it. As a result, there is information regarding me. There is my code. Therefore, individuals observe me, yes, and their concepts regarding me have an impact on me. Please, if I have not set up an incoming filter, the code, what if the idea is like that? Then I transform it into a different form or structure. If I am unable to transform, I mirror it. If I possess an adequate amount of power, so to speak, if I do not possess enough power, this idea begins embedding in me and endeavoring to alter me to conform to itself. Accordingly, the idea of self-development is the understanding of these programs. That is, a clear understanding of what programs exist in general. That is, how I interact with the sky, how I interact with the earth. So my relationships with my mother, with my father directly influence these interactions. My interactions within and the opening of the heart center also have a significant impact. If I recently opened, it implies that certain individuals will consume me. They are anticipating, so to speak. If there are no protective functions, well, just like in the micro world, you see, if there are no protective functions, how long will a microorganism be able to survive? Most likely not for long. In other words, there will be some parasitic microorganisms that will break it down into spare parts. So protection must be in place. What is protection? What is protection? So first and foremost, it is necessary to understand that a certain potential must exist. Batteries, certain power source, extrapolation against which your thought images of protective shells or spheres around you so that it somehow provides nourishment and sustains your energy. Because once you cease to think about it, this kind of protection no longer exists. If you desire for it to continue existing even during your sleep, then you must possess an alternative power source. So it turns out there is some kind of nutrition that can support these informational fields of yours in some way. In truth, there are a plethora of sources, not just 2, but rather a diverse range of them. There are numerous of them here. However, the primary 2, that is correct, positive and negative. Well, my friends, the world is truly amazing, and we have the privilege of living in an incredible time. Yes, we are exactly on the brink of groundbreaking discoveries and, fundamentally, the transformation of humanity into something entirely new. I am hopeful that it is more interesting than what we typically observe in similar situations and circumstances. Accordingly, I encourage all of you friends to work on yourselves. I'm telling you, it's an amazing experience. It's truly marvelous. Consider what you symbolize. Imagine if you're truly a program generating ideas which we could describe as arbitrary, but in actuality, naturally, they are not. Certainly not. Your ideas depend heavily. I will not talk about past incarnations, family karma, and the impact they have on your current situation. Your ideas primarily rely on the geographical location of your upbringing, the mode of communication, and the behavior that was happening around you during those moments when you were growing up and shaping your perspective. From the events occurring in your surroundings, the environment in which you engage in communication, the manner in which you communicate, your personal interests, and your self-perception. Sometimes it is truly difficult for an individual to simply acknowledge it to themselves. In order to deceive himself about his own beliefs, desires, goals, and responsibilities, he will consistently find a way to twist things, manipulate the truth, and distort reality. This enables him to avoid facing the uncomfortable truths and maintain a false sense of control over his life and actions. It will be stated that in actuality, the act of embellishing certain desired properties as well as attempting to hide certain unpleasant and unwanted properties, is being carried out in an effort to conceal them. It is natural for an individual. Not everyone desires to portray themselves in the most favorable manner with a smile, as though they genuinely possess those qualities. And I will tell you, like Uncle Osha, it's not about seeming, it's about being. And the more your manifestation in reality aligns with your true self, the greater your level of success will be overall, and the more you will truly be able to transform yourself in a meaningful way that resonates with who you are at your core. In contrast, the greater the disparity between your true inner self and the way you try to portray yourself to others, the higher the likelihood of encountering various mishaps, including physiological difficulties, and other unforeseen challenges that may arise as a result of this incongruity. From my perspective, human physiology still very clearly adapts to his mental state, not to mention his own mental well-being. And this mental aspect interacts with other individuals. When the tension of specific energetic vectors is excessively strong, they have an impact on the cells. When a large amount of negative information and so on comes, it should somehow manifest in the physiology, in the real physiology of a person. Something is occurring to individuals. Since we have acquired knowledge on concealing specific matters, on hiding them somewhere, and on smoothing it all over in some way, the affliction of our era resembles cancer. It is an ailment that has surfaced and, figuratively speaking, no longer remains hidden. It is completely exposed and attempt to cease, as they say. Simultaneously, we observe that there exists a substantial quantity of diverse, marvelous healings. Suddenly, for some reason, bang, and the cells started behaving normally again. These tumors were dormant when it seemed like everything was already at the 4th degree and all, and sometimes it happens the other way around when the disease progresses slowly but steadily. And in the majority of instances, that is precisely the case. I mean, the concept of neural networks, the idea of what we are witnessing right now, the way artificial intelligence learns, rewrites itself, and continues to learn, is essentially a human ability. The notion of neural networks and how AI learns, adapts, and evolves mirrors the inherent capacity of human beings to learn, adapt, and grow through experience and knowledge acquisition. So in reality, we are also observing, learning, and in the midst of this backdrop of learning, we persistently search for new areas, new, let's say, informational nourishment that would provide us with even greater growth, even greater comprehension, and enhance our understanding of the world around us. And here, of course, I differentiate two key aspects within the condition of an individual. Is the person tired of themselves, or do they still have childlike joy in relation to everything that is happening? An individual demonstrates themselves with a destructive aspect, not only defensive reflexes, but genuinely destructively, resulting in, well, I am uncertain. Some believe they are carrying out all of this with good intentions, but in reality an individual destroys, correct? So it either demonstrates or shows this negative system. Either it constructs, builds, or creates something. So it seems to me like these simple but very understandable and, in analogy, very well obvious things. It is clear that without a root there are no branches. It is clear that where there is yin there is yang, where there is white there is black. They must somehow balance each other. It is evident that, as they state, there are no completely white, no completely black there. Nevertheless, there are exceedingly unequivocal and uncomplicated criteria for how we observe, that is, the actions of an individual, what they sort of actually take place. And when we see destructive, seemingly destructive, 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 so one can even progress in the act of destruction. And Shiva, yes, was one of those who excelled in this at one time. And one can make progress in creating, that is, both activities are forms of development. So there's nothing incorrect with destroying or creating. There are not any extremely positive or good things there. I am referring to the significance of learning, growth, development, absorbing information, experiencing and gaining valuable experience for personal and professional growth. And then time, well, within the span of 100 years, this is considered impressive. If an individual has lived for a century, typically everything concludes more swiftly in some way. I observe that the length of life is heavily reliant on comprehending one's own code, comprehending one's own energy informational shells, comprehending what can be accomplished with them, and correspondingly, the more beautiful and magnificent it all appears around you, the greater amount of time you have. Well, that is the way I perceive it. Maybe it is different. I am not claiming to have the ultimate truth or absolute certainty. All of the experiments and tests that I conducted in this direction indicate that this is most probably the case based on the evidence I have gathered. Against this background, it is understandable that for some people it is extremely difficult to open up to perception, especially since everyone wants to see immediately, not something vague, but a clear vision. However, in actuality, numerous years elapse initially, there exists a specific sensation, a feeling, and an internal adaptation of an individual's own algorithms to comprehend the system that provides sustenance and shapes your understanding of the world around you. And when you define yourself in this place, when you define yourself with the source that nourishes your core, then you can already arrange more intriguing and safeguarding mechanisms and the process of upgrading. So you have the capability to receive a particular kind of initiation that, by embedding itself within you, already brings about changes in you, because you were the person you were, and then some energy enters into you that has never come into contact with you before. It just wasn't in your field, and now it has loaded, and there is some kind of its own code in it, some sort of your very own program. And at this moment, you and this program are completely inseparable because the initiation carried out by the Master has taken place. And that's it. And you are already starting to transform, one way or another. By being aware or with the aid of specific life situations that are unique and significant to each individual. So we are already undergoing inevitable changes, most frequently with the assistance of these magical pendles, as we navigate through specific situations. However, there's another method to change. It involves conscious movement towards growth, development, and self-improvement, fostering personal transformation and progress. So you personally make use of the information that is readily available around you in order to enhance and develop yourself as an individual. Well, it is apparent to everyone that nutrition should be appropriate. Undoubtedly, if you consume junk food, well, something will inevitably break, something will undoubtedly be disrupted. And there is nourishment available for mental bodies, for emotional bodies, yes, indeed, without a doubt. So you visited a website or another online location, correct, on the internet, and obtained some information from there, correct, and then someone at that place became upset because they couldn't handle it anymore. Correct. So the presence of bad energy, correct, will not lead to success with that particular situation. And on the other hand, you actually went out into the field, to the rice field. Yes, there is a sunset with beautiful colors in the sky. Yes, you feel that here and now time stops completely and you are fully immersed in the present moment. And here it is. And you obtain a substantial, good, so to speak, quantity for the emotional body, the astral body. All things began to ring, and there are a multitude of such examples that can be cited. So an individual will read a few mediocre novels engaging in activities such as running around and shooting. It is not clear while watching a movie or a series, which can also be quite tedious and time-consuming, or actually take the time to read a serious scientific article and gain valuable knowledge. She is not very cheerful. I would say she is quite boring in her own unique way. However, the notion that you should be having a good time, that you should simply be bored, that you should somehow derive enjoyment from your time, well, this idea is not progressive. It will not lead you to growth and development. So you must bid farewell to it. You must be ruthless towards those own manifestations, the dullness of certain internal madness, and the understandable controlled stupidity. Well, keep something for yourself there, but it cannot be the whole day if your controlled stupidity consists of some strange incidents all day long, seemingly for growth and development, some strange events for oneself. I think this is not good at all. It is important to let go of what hinders progress and embrace what brings clarity and growth, even if it means confronting uncomfortable truths. Make an effort to seek out your teachers. Look for the information that resonates with you, that makes you feel a sense of growth and development in your journey of learning. Exercise caution, as there are many obstacles that can impede your progress on the path of self-development. Read the suitable books, acquire your experience, meditate as much as you can, observe yourself, grow and develop your skills, strive for personal growth and continuous improvement.